but they become like almost zombified. Sometimes a person basically sells their soul to the crack pipe, or just doing crack in general. Hello, I'm Pej. I'm an interventionist. I help in getting people the help they need when it comes to drug addiction, alcoholism, and mental health. Today we're going to talk about all things cocaine, cocaine addiction, cocaine detoxification, the behaviors that people display when it comes to cocaine addiction. First and foremost, I am a recovered addict who has been sober over 15 years. I have a lot of experience with cocaine. I actually started experimenting with it when I was probably 16 years old. Somebody happened to have it. It was something that they had found in their dad's stash, and we ended up doing cocaine, and it became something that the first time I ever saw it, I thought, well, this is exactly what they taught us not to do in health class and in junior high school, and here we are. Now we're actually going to try to attempt to do it. I obviously wanted to do what my friend was doing too and not look like a person that was afraid or scared, and so I ended up doing it. And when I did it, I clearly remember thinking that they said that one time of trying this stuff can make you immediately addicted. So when I did it, I got it in me, and I was off to the races. I just wanted to keep doing it over and over again, and that's exactly what happened. And then over a period of time, as a 16-year-old, he and I started to find other methods of using cocaine. So we ended up rocking it up, freebasing it, using certain materials like baking soda, spoons, water, and being able to make it into like a rock form. And I don't think two 16-year-olds doing, kind of cracked out, hiding out inside of a house and peering out the windows and hiding in closets and things like that. I don't think any of that's normal. So these were the behaviors that we were displaying. It was worse than me, but we were definitely both becoming very addicted to this. He was doing a lot more than I was, and cocaine addiction was something that I was doing for quite some time. Now, I do remember during that time too, as I started to get a little bit older, I was working at a place where I turned 18, and one of my co-workers, he would often come to work. He was very sweaty. You could tell that he'd been up for a long time. He was, you could smell booze on his breath, and when I got to talking to him, he said that he had a problem with cocaine too, and he would use cocaine with alcohol so that he can drink longer at night. What ended up happening to him, he was a little bit older than me during that time. I was 18, I think he was like 20 years old. It was around then where I heard that his family ended up taking him and putting him into rehab. And I don't really know what happened to him, but I do know that the guy that I was using it with went on to continue to keep using cocaine for a lot of his life. And I didn't get sober myself until I was in my mid-30s. When I did get sober, I decided to go and study about drugs, alcohol, pharmacology, many different types of classes. I wanted to become a drug and alcohol counselor, and I did exactly that. I worked in the field of addiction and got to see many different types of people come in with many different addictions, and some of them were cocaine. Now, cocaine is known to be the rich man's drug, or in the past it was known to be the rich man's drug because it cost a lot more than, let's say, for example, methamphetamine or other types of stimulants. Cocaine, if people are buying it, will come in various different sizes, sometimes a 16th, or they call it an 8-ball, which is about an eighth of an ounce. And then obviously, the big dealers, the wheelers and dealers will get into the kilos and things like that. But for the most part, a cocaine user usually likes to get, not too much, not too little, enough that will last them a weekend. Therefore, they can go out and they can party. Some people are very social when it comes to cocaine. Some people are not social at all. They become antisocial and they want to be alone in their own time and just do it by themselves. Some people are all about sharing and partying, and some people like to use cocaine in order to gain friends or gain acquaintances, women, men, to be around them, to party with them, to do things for them because they have the cocaine. So some people will take it to the next level. They don't just sniff coke or snort cocaine, but they actually start to get into using cocaine in other forms. And just like I described what I was doing when I was younger, they will do cocaine in a rock form. They sometimes get into crack, which is obviously, freebasing cocaine. Crack is sometimes accessible through drug dealers. It's either being produced in rock form, whether it's the dealer themselves that are doing it, or they're actually getting it and distributing it from, a source that has more of a larger supply, if you will. And then, there was obviously a lot of talk in the 80s and 90s that it was being distributed to the streets, by certain agencies. I won't go into that too much, but I know that also what I'm seeing in this day and age, and 2022, almost 2023, in my TikTok especially, there's a lot of youngsters, a lot of kids, very much like myself when I was 16, that are even under 16, they're 14, 15, 16 years old, that are doing cocaine quite regularly. It is out there. It comes from the coca leaf. It is distributed. It's used quite often. It is mixed with other drugs. There are some heroin addicts that like to mix cocaine with heroin. They call it speedballing. There are people that just like cocaine. There are people that like cocaine with alcohol. Sometimes they go hand in hand. The drugs seem to complement each other because if you're doing cocaine, you can drink longer and stay up longer and party longer and party harder. And so what to look for when you see somebody that's a cocaine addict is sunken eyes, behavioral problems, somebody that seems like they're on edge at times unless they're actually on the substance. When they're on the substance, they are very much in a euphoric state where they're feeling like they can conquer the world, like they're on top of the world. So they definitely become dependent upon it. A person that takes it to the next level and gets into the rock form or crack, that's a different type of high. It's definitely different than just snorting and sniffing cocaine. It makes them become a fiend. It makes them go seek it out. Sometimes people will sell everything that they can get their hands on that has any value because they run out of money to buy crack. Sometimes if they have money in the first place, they'll spend and spend and spend and spend until they're so addicted that they lose all of their money, and then they start to steal or sell things or pawn things off so that they can just get another hit or get a few more hits. And what happens with that is when they take these hits, as in a crack form, cocaine freebasing, it's never enough. It doesn't last very long. It's probably anywhere from a few minutes to 10 minutes tops, depending on the potency of the type of crack that they're smoking. But they become like almost zombified. Sometimes a person basically sells their soul to the crack pipe or just doing crack in general. That's why sometimes you will see people that are homeless on the streets that are walking just like they're inhumane. They have no more soul, kind of like a mutant, if you will. They're not even human anymore at a certain point because of the power of the crack cocaine that they are addicted to. Now let's talk about getting help for it. So what do you look for when you see somebody that potentially could be using cocaine? Well, depending on who it is, if it's your loved one, if you're finding empty bindles, which, they're little plastic baggies, they look like little mini baggies. And if you see in the corner of it, there may be some kind of residue, white powdery residue. Obviously, everybody pretty much knows what cocaine probably looks like. It's very powdery. Sometimes it may be little chunks and pieces of rocks and such. But cocaine usually finishes all of it. But if you find plastic around, then you could definitely, wonder and think that perhaps this person is using cocaine. Also, a person that smokes crack often will do it through a cylinder, a glass cylinder type of, it's not an actual pipe, but, it's called a crack pipe. It's not like a meth pipe where there would be a kind of like a circular end to it. This is actually usually a straight piece, and if you find one of those and there's burnt ends on the end of it, it's probably because they've been smoking crack. A lot of people use chore boys and things of such nature to be able to try to cook it up or to make it into rock form. A lot of times the person will be late to work, lose jobs. These are all great indicators of a person that might be on cocaine, that might be behaving a certain way. They'll be out till all hours of the night. They come and go as they please. They don't really have a purpose in life. Their nose might be bleeding if they're doing a lot of lines of cocaine. Often a person's whole septic nasal area might be affected to the point where they're bleeding a lot. Like if you see bloody tissues or blood on clothes or blood on on bed sheets and bedspreads and things like that, they might be on cocaine because they are doing lines of it. And when it comes to getting help for it, if somebody actually says that they need help, that they are addicted to it, they don't want to be on it anymore. What does a cocaine detox look like? So cocaine will wear you down physically, but it also takes a toll on people mentally. There's a lot of depression that is involved with it. There's a lot of suicidal ideation. When a person is coming off of cocaine, they crash hard, and the only way that they feel good is if they get up and start seeking out more cocaine. So they go to a dealer or somebody that they obtain it from, and they do more so that they can feel better more. And when somebody's actually coming down from it or goes into detox, which is very highly recommended for a person that has an addiction problem with cocaine, there's going to be, a 3 to 7 to 10 day period where a person needs to actually, settle, normalize, get back into the mainstream of life. And another thing is to keep them there. Like, they should stay. They should stay as long as they can, not just through detox, but definitely through longer periods of treatment, so that they can really identify what the problem is and why it is that they're so addicted to cocaine, and psychologically what's going on with them, mentally what's going on with them, emotionally what's going on with them, that they keep seeking that particular drug. A lot of people love stimulants, and a lot of people love depressants. And when it comes to cocaine users, usually this is the one drug that if a person is using it regularly, it's what they're after the most. That means that alcohol is more easily obtainable. Other drugs, if it's not in their interest, they are not after those types of drugs like heroin or fentanyl or other stimulants that are more powerful than cocaine. But cocaine has a certain feel to it. It's what people want. So when they come down from it, that detoxification period is going to be, very emotional. A lot of physical pain. People can definitely encounter that depending on their age and how long they've been using it, how much of a toll they've done on their body physically, both in their nasal area, but also in their bodies. And then, when it comes to emotions and things like that, how they manage their emotions and the thoughts that go through their head, and the losses that they may have caused themselves, such as family loss or money loss, or, certain types of things that they've had in their lives that they no longer have because they've lost people's trust, for example. So they might think that they're worthless, hopeless, and think about not wanting to live anymore. Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about cocaine today. This has been a hot topic more recently. I mean, coke's been around for many, many years, but I noticed that a lot of people are asking me how to overcome cocaine addiction, and often I will do interventions too with families that have cocaine addict within their family system and want me to try to help them. And so if you or somebody that you know is struggling with cocaine addiction, please do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. My number is 310-596-9356. I'm Pej. I'm an interventionist. I would love to be able to talk with you and see how we can help anybody that you know, or if you yourself is suffering with cocaine addiction. I'll make myself available. I'm always here to talk.